And we are live. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining in. This is Dan Thompson from the Zone Comics, comic shop owner.
What's going on, Terry?
Industry leader. I don't know, man. Like, we sat here and talked for quite a while, and I just opened up Kindle, and I've got the new G.I. Joe from the Energon Universe #4 that I need to read. I've got a new issue of Void Rivals. And I've got a new issue of Transformers that I need to read. Have you already
read all of those last night. My hot Saturday night was all about getting caught up on the Energon Universe. And now, did you read 4 yet, or no?
No, I've got to read 4.
Okay, because there's something at the end of it that I'm kind of like, huh. I'm not sure, like, if it's bravado or if it's a big plan. And you know what I'm talking about when you get there.
All right. Yeah, I'm planning on reading that sometime tonight. You can go ahead and talk about it a little bit. I would prefer not to spoil it for me, but if you can give anything away without spoilers, that'd be awesome.
There's a battle, and there's some captives to protect the innocent, so to speak. And someone on the team is kind of bitching about the fact that someone surrendered the fight. And that character kind of looks back at him and says, like, don't be so sure or something, or we have Cobra right where we want him. And it looks kind of hopeless for our heroes. So it makes me think that there's a kind of a bigger play involving the brainwave scanner and Doc Venom that maybe, they wanted to prevent him from getting nabbed by Cobra, but at the same time kind of draw Cobra out. And now we know where you're at, and now we're going to do something. But
we saw some new G.I. Joe releases for Toy Fair. We saw the Night Force Quick Kick figure, and who did he come with? Night Force Quick Kick and
Beachhead.
Yeah, Night Force Beachhead.
They look really good too.
But Crystal Ball is part of that set as well. I wonder if they're going to have something to do in the comic with Crystal Ball.
I was on David's show last night. We were talking about Crystal Ball and how, because I don't think he was able to get one the other day.
He seems to be a really hot topic for all the people that don't like it and all the people that, said it was going to peg him.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I always thought Crystal Ball was kind of a loser, and he always got 86th when I was a kid. Like, I'll tell you, like I told David, you're familiar with Battle of the Planets and Gotcha Man, right?
No, I'm not.
G-Force. Okay, so Gotcha Man was a Japanese thing that came over to the States as Battle of the Planets, where it's like the 5 people. They had like kind of bird capes and the little robot 7 Zark 7, and they had a ship called the Phoenix. Well, anyway, they fought a group called Spectre, or what they call it, and it's like two different countries versions of it. Anyway, the bad guys, there was one main bad guy. The Japanese version was called Berg Kaste, and the States he was called Zotar. And then he had all these subordinates that had these like kind of wild costumes, and they controlled these mech ships, and they had like army, these green army, like long hair and helmets and with like fangs on them and stuff. Well, anyway, I told David the other night that it felt to me like, in my mind now as an adult, Cobra Commander's the head of Cobra, and then like your Destros and Crystal Balls and Major Bloods are kind of like those subordinates to Berg Kaste, where they have their own like little group of Cobra troopers, and like some Crystal Ball might be in a castle in the Himalayas, and like you and I are troopers. Like, hey Terry, who are you stationed with? I'm with Major Blood. Where are you at, Dan? I'm with Crystal Ball.
If you had said G-Force, I would have known what you were talking about.
Yeah, G-Force. I said G-Force.
Yeah, well, I didn't catch it when you said it. You said Gotcha Man, and like, yeah, if I
got the theme song stuck in my head all day. Dun, 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 dun. But anyway, so I feel like Crystal Ball in my mind now is one of those guys, real eccentric Cobra lieutenant that, they don't really like to have him around for staff meetings, and it's not really like a desired post if you're a Cobra trooper. He's kind of necessary evil.
If they bring him into the Energon comic, I don't think that he's going to be necessarily a Cobra figure to start, or a Cobra character to start out with. I think that he's going to have more to do with Cobra Law, considering the ties to Cobra Law that he has in the bio on the back of the trading card.
Yeah, I could see something like that. I don't. David said he was never in the Real American Hero run. I thought he was. I'm rereading it as we speak.
I've seen people share screenshots of pages where he was in the Real American Hero run.
Yeah, because I thought he died in the freighter, because I'd said that Larry
Yeah.
finally got to get rid of all the characters he couldn't stand. He put them all in that freighter and buried them alive. That's the most Larry Hama thing. Like, if Larry invites you to go on a freighter trip with him, don't do it, because it's not gonna
don't
bode very well. Yeah, he'd be like, I need you to go on this trip on a freighter with me, Terry. Like,
yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet in the a Real American Hero series.
I'm at the point where we just met Bongo the balloon bear, and we're still kind of doing some stuff in the in the Gulf. I guess the Gulf of America now, not the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
With the hovercraft and Cobra, and I think we're getting ready to get the Joes are getting ready to get tricked into bombing the fault line that will inadvertently create Cobra Island. And I was telling David, it's so cool how it just kind of Larry's stories start to really just kind of cascade and just kind of really fit in, almost like a nighttime soap opera, where it's just like you get. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like as soon as Destro was kind of introduced in the book, it really amped up. It went from kind of the Marvel one and done stories, the occasional two-parter that you would get in that era of comics, to where it was like we're getting this like kind of big story arc here, and then like little story arcs, self-contained stories. And I just read the last one I just read was the classic where Ace and Wild Weasel have the dog fight, and it ends with Baroness bitching out Wild Weasel and Lady J bitching out Ace, because they fly by and salute each other, and they don't say another word the whole book, and they just go back to base. They're like, do you hear what I'm saying? Answer me, and they're just like flying the plane. But yeah, it's such good stuff, and you can tell like Larry was really hitting his stride. He was probably being left alone, and they were probably like, hey, the sales of the book are good. Do what you want. Toy sales are good. Write your file cards. Because I feel like he's having a lot of fun with the Skybound stuff that he's doing. Because that book's actually kind of fun.
That yet. I want to, but Jay Combs here says that not as good as Voltron, but still a nice filler. Yeah, G-Force was cool, but have either of you watched the new Voltron series on Netflix, or I'm not sure if they put anything new out or not, but have you seen that?
I haven't. I was never really a big Voltron guy. I have nothing against it. I just never got a chance to check it out. It's one of those things I'd like to, but it would probably be another thing I'd spend money on. And this is the Voltron shelf now, and this is this shelf. And
oh no, I'm not going to get into it like that. But
that's already going to happen with new mask toys. It's going to happen with Toy Fair was a lot of cool stuff, and it just made my wallet scream.
Yeah, especially the Jetfire with the two Void Rivals figures. I've got to get that set.
Absolutely. And the Cold Slither set.
It's going to be awesome. That's
Classified's doing well for Hasbro if they're going to make a Cold Slither set.
I would think so, yeah.
Because they would never, hell would have to freeze over probably before that would even get like greenlit. And they're probably like, hey, you know what? This is kind of keeping us afloat, so let's do some Cold Slither. Like, yeah, I love that band. The funny thing is, you ought to ask people in the Gen X, like, hey, what's your favorite metal bands? Like, like Poison, or like Motley Crue. What about you? Yeah, I like the Guns N' Roses and Cold Slither. Oh yeah, and they would have no idea what you're talking about, and they'd be like, oh yeah, because everybody wants to be a part of the conversation, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I love Cold Slither. I remember when they get kicked off of MTV Headbangers Ball. Oh yeah, I remember that. And like,
I need to get one of the Cold Slither T-shirts. I'm sure that Hasbro is probably going to be selling them too soon. But...
oh, they have to. I mean, that would be really cool.
That Jetfire set, man. Like I had pretty much decided I was not going to be buying any more Transformers, or very few if I did. but I'm gonna have to get that set.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. And I'm probably gonna have to like keep the box and all that, and just kind of have it where it's you can see
Yeah,
it because it's just that's gonna be a fun piece, and those characters are cool too. Just I like the designs on the Void Rival characters. Now the
Derek and
newest issue.
Slilah, man, like I hope that they're individually carded.
Oh, that'd be neat. It'd be cool if they had like a little file card too.
Yeah,
Now the newest issue of Void Rivals, it's a must read because it kind of explains their situation. And because if you've been following it, the can never remember their damn names. The female character, she's
Slilah.
looking, yeah, she's looking for Zerta Tryon,
Yeah,
and she finds her the last issue. In this issue, they speak, and and she kind of gives her a rundown of the history and how her and Alpha Trion and the Quintessons and all this stuff, and it's really really cool. It just makes that universe so much bigger. And yeah, Robert Kirkman, he's just a G man,
dude,
just
I
straight
would
up
love to
G.
see an entire Transformers run based on this Energon universe with all the figures from it. It's not like there's that many characters being shown in this. It's relatively small as far as the assortment of characters
Well,
goes.
sometimes they show up and they show up dead, or
Yeah,
they show up for a second, like, oh cool, there's a thrust, boom, or he's like, he's gone.
right.
Yeah, and they just introduced a new character in Transformers, the issue before, Shredhead,
Yes.
and he looks pretty cool, and he's got a connection to Cliff Jumper and Cliff Jumper's clan and all that, and I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah,
And
he's made from the spark remnants of Cliff Jumper's slaughtered clan.
and I was way behind on Transformers, and I read about six of them last night, or no, yeah, about eight of them, I guess, and I'm all caught up in the whole storyline with Starscream and his
Yeah.
friendship that was kind of and then Megatron looking like he's kind of getting in his head.
So what do you think, man? I started kind of like empathizing a little bit there with Starscream and him being brought into the Decepticons and all that. I think that Starscream might actually be not that bad of a guy deep down.
Um, and I hear his voice in my head, the Chris Latta voice, saying like, "Thank you, Terry," and just like, and he like squishes you like, squishies, you know. But well, it's kind of funny because there's like, it looked like Abraham from The Walking Dead, finds him, and I guess he's a part of Mars, and they attach him to that his tank body, or his lower torso is attached to the
Yeah,
his
then you
tank.
got the little joystick.
and and like he gets free, and when they're in Astro Train, he just starts murking everybody except
Yeah,
the artist kid, and he's like, "You will live, and you will catalog my rise to greatness." And he's like, "Whatever you say," and him and the cat, he kept the cat.
yeah,
Like I thought that was great. Like start and then and I love that. I really love the stuff with Thundercracker, how he was letting humans get away, and he's just like, "This isn't cool." Like
yeah,
I'm down for the fight, but we're just killing people. Killing these things to kill them is not, and then of course he finds his brother Skywarp, and he's trying to figure out how to fix that situation. And that, well, he gets in, and Starscream tells him when they're having the big fight, the big showdown between Starscream and Soundwave, that it was him and Soundwave that did what they did to Skywarp and not the Autobots.
right.
And he's just kind of like, yeah, I'm out, and um, that's pretty cool. And then I don't want to spoil it, but the character that shows up at the end that brings them all to heel and causes Optimus and his massive 3-man Autobot army to retreat. Then because the next issue of that is going to be all about that character and what happened to them and where they've been and how they got to where we first see them.
So obviously it's Megatron, right?
Well, okay, spoiler.
Well, we
Yes.
know that Megatron's been predisposed with Cobra Law, so
No, he's back, and just the fact that like Soundwave and Starscream are at each other's throats, and then they're just kind of like, "Hey, boss," and like he just commands. It's going to be, I don't know. It's kind of there's a part of me that's like each leader of the Decepticons so far, Starscream, Soundwave, which was very shocking. It could be so ruthless, and then Shockwave were like one step above, like one worse than the other. And it makes you wonder, like, well, how bad is Megatron going to be when he gets there?
Right.
Because Soundwave's going around just killing humans to draw out the Autobots, which I guess he
Soundwave's
goes.
character development in this has really stepped up from what I remember it being like in anything else in any of the shows or the comics previous to this.
And I have a feeling that Megatron may not be as ruthless as we think he is. That's just kind of my gut
Maybe.
because we've seen the ruthlessness. I'm like he can get there. I just think like what a shocker it'd be if he'd be like, let's retreat and build a base.
Now we
Well,
know
let's
that
go.
Shockwave is. We know that Shockwave is the most ruthless of them all, apparently. More so than Soundwave or Megatron.
Well, and plus what he did to Ultra Magnus.
Yes. It
That's
seems like we have three different factions of Decepticons kind of all working against each other or competing against each other.
which that's kind of the most Decepticon thing there is, really, if you think
Yeah,
about it.
it is.
And it almost kind of the same with the Autobots. Like Elita One's not happy with Optimus Prime, and he's, we got to protect the Earth because we brought this nonsense here. If we leave, they're not going to leave, you know. And then you also got to think too that what happens when the Joe team finally does their mission statement and goes after the Transformers, because
Yeah.
right now they're embroiled with Cobra, and their whole mission statement is to take care of these alien robots. Cobra just kind of happened to get in the way because they're kind of vying for the same thing. The Joes want to wipe them out, and Cobra wants to take their tech to take over.
Aren't we supposed to have another one shot coming up, like some type of a special or something?
We do on Free Comic Book Day, and I think it's gonna. I know that people have been. I always like to read the letters pages for the Energon Universe stuff because it's a lot of fun. And it's they were talking about, kept asking like, are we going to get another book? Are we going to get another book? And they've been real kind of like, yeah, we're just going to roll with these three right now until it's just brimming with so much we need more books, which is smart because you want to have more. I go back to think like the old Monday Night Wars in wrestling when Raw and Nitro were 2 hours, and like Nitro would just fly by like that. It begins with the NWO interrupting and it ends with the NWO interrupting. You're just like, go, I can't wait till next week. And then when they made it like 3 hours, you're just like, it's too much. So I feel like it's kind of like that. Like they're just giving us all this stuff that we're like, because I feel like I could read the Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Void Rivals weekly. And it
I'm
would
pretty
probably,
happy with those three right now.
I am too. I could see a fourth title coming about. And I know I know in continuity, there's supposed to be a second G.I. Joe team. We get told that in the Free Comic Book Day special from last year, where Colonel Hawk, Flint, and Lady J are talking, and there's a bunch of rumors that Snake Eyes is going to be in that group. I've heard that Beachhead's going to lead this group. Who knows?
Yeah, see, I think Snake Eyes is probably going to pop up on the other Joe team and then probably combine into a main Joe team afterwards.
They did finally shoot down that silly rumor about Risk was going to be Snake Eyes.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
I don't know either. It's like he's a brand new character, and it doesn't fit the MO for Snake Eyes at all. Plus, he talks too much.
Yeah. I think they did a good job with Risk, man, because I don't like that character.
Well, they said he was. They said that the idea was he's going to be the Wolverine of the GI Joe team, and if you remember back in the day, Wolverine, he was like a wrestling heel. You wanted to boo him, you didn't like him, but then you didn't like him so much you liked him, and it was cool. You wanted to, So it's like that's kind of I think what the route they're going. It's weird how like comics and wrestling kind of it uses the same psychology when it's done right.
Yeah.
That's what I do with sales.
You mentioned I've been I've been looking at printing some of these. I don't know if you've heard of them or not, but they're called Dummy 13 action figures.
No, I haven't heard of that.
It's basically a fully articulated skeletal structure, and then you have different kits that go on them to make them into whatever you want. And I came across one earlier that is a Soundwave skin for a Dummy 13 figure, and it actually transforms.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I have not heard of those. That sounds pretty cool.
They are. They're pretty cool, man. Like I haven't printed one yet, but there's a lot of stuff out there for it. It's all open source, so you've got all these creators that are making different accessories and different kits for the Dummy 13 structure.
Did you see the 3D printed classified GI Joe headquarters that was floating around?
Yes, yes, I have. I've seen those. They
That'd
look
be
really
something really
good.
cool for you to make, and my birthday will be in November. Just want to throw that out there. You'd have
That
plenty of
is, I know
time.
somebody that's printed one, and it is a massive undertaking.
I bet. So we last night, David and I talked about real quick. Just yes, that looks really cool. We talked about Chris Cox bringing up the fact that he'd like to see a USS flag made.
Yeah, I don't, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to see that or not. Mainly because I don't really have anywhere to display it right now. If we did get like a flag HasLab or something, it would have to be 3 3/4 scale. You know,
Oh, I
we've
agree. I agree. I don't think it'd be feasible to. I mean, you'd be like Hasbro would be like, "Do you have a garage? Yeah, well, don't park your cars in the garage."
we
That's
talked a little bit about this on the Circle of Jerks fan stream. That's what we're calling it now. It's me and 3 other YouTubers. So
well, David and I talked about it for a second last night, and it was one of those things that he said, "What do you think he meant by bringing that up?" And I said, "Well, when I worked in the corporate world, there was a phrase I was taught: what interests my boss should interest me."
yeah,
And so I think he's interested in seeing that. And so it's kind of like the boss is telling you to make it, so make it. So I could see it. I could
right.
see it being a HasLab. I could see it being about $500, 600 tops. And I could see it being. I don't want it. I have a flag, and I don't want it to be a duplicate of that because I don't need two of them. But if it was like more advanced than the one I have, yes.
If it's in that
Um,
price range, I'll buy multiples, of course, and I'll keep one for myself to display. But I think that it might have originally been in the plans because if you look at the Sky Striker HasLab and the stuff that it comes with,
yes.
there's a lot of indication that a flag was either in the works or being thought about or talked about to the point where they included accessories for it with the Sky Striker. I
Well, and
don't.
I think too, it's a bit of a psyop where they might have that planned and ready to roll,
Yeah,
and so you have the head of Hasbro because people are like, oh, they'll never make the flag, they'll never make the flag, and then you got the head of the company saying, hey, it'd be cool to see the flag again, and then he says that so that all the fandom would get out there and be like, oh man, I want the flag, I want the flag, and then like, hey, you heard it, the customers want it, make it. So I think it's a
see,
bit of a
there's another rumor that I saw today that they're talking about taking all of these lines, GI Joe, Transformers, whatever, and moving toward a 2 inch mask style line, a 2 inch format, so that they can make more play sets and stuff with a better return on investment.
huh. I think if they were going to do that, why wouldn't you just keep mask in house then?
Why wouldn't
Is
you keep
that's
mask in house? Why wouldn't you just stick with the 3 3/4 or modern 4 inch format for GI Joe? Hell,
well,
even Star Wars.
well, I to me, well, I just call it 4 inch. You just round it up and call it 4 inch. To me, GI Joe is always going to be the 4 inch, and I love the 6 inch scale. I think 6 inch is more like for collectors because like my son plays more with the 4 inch ones and the
Yeah,
3 3/4 because he says they fit better in his hand, and he can put them in like Playmobil houses. He can put them in boats. He can put them in all types of stuff. Where the
right.
6 inch you really can't. Um, but I would, I mean, I would love to see him do something like that, but not the 2 inch scale. I mean, they tried that with the Sigma 6, and I don't think that went over too good.
You know what? Those would have went over really well, I think, if they had been fully articulated instead of just being like little statue type figures.
Yeah, I mean, the ships looked really cool. I mean, the designs and stuff I thought looked really neat. And I like, I don't know, I have mixed, I was not a fan of the Sigma 6 cartoon. I was not really a fan of that line, although I had a few of the figures and I thought they looked really cool. Thought they
Yeah,
were
I
very
don't think anybody.
stylistic. I feel like they would probably be better to be a companion line than to be the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like 12
somebody
inch
mentioned a
goes.
companion line to me earlier too.
Yeah, because I feel like the 6 inch line could be a companion line to a 4 inch line. But this might segue into the thing on Tuesday, the Pulse stream or whatever, PulseCon,
Yes.
Pulseverse, whatever. Um, I told David because he was asking me what do I expect out of it. I was like, well, really, I mean, probably just going to show us stuff we already know is coming. But I kind of feel like my gut tells me maybe we'll get a surprise. That
Yeah,
that thing
man,
is wishful
because
thinking, but
there's a lot of the stuff that's been leaked from the factories or whatever that, or leaked images, leaked renders that just didn't really look that great to me in the photos. But then seeing something in hand or seeing something officially released, it looked a lot better, in my opinion. And I think that that's probably what's going to happen here with this stream. I think that we're going to get to see some physical physical models of 3D renders, and some of the leaks that we've seen. I think we'll probably get to see entire figures.
well, they postponed it for a reason, and we don't know the reason could have been because Toy Fair was around the corner, or maybe there were some items in hand, like you just said, that they needed to wait for. But I told him, I said, I really feel like obviously the Joe brand is doing good for Hasbro, like it always does. It's always the thing that kind of saves the bacon for them. It
Yeah,
did in the 60s, did in the 80s, and it's probably doing it now. Um, and I was like, the only thing we're missing is a media property.
they
And
have the media property. They are considering the media property the cartoon series that they have uploaded to YouTube.
oh
Apparently,
yeah, that's a given. That's official. But um, which that's cool. But I kind of hope that we get another cartoon or we kind of came up with this idea. And I've talked about this in the past, and I think we've talked about it with David, but we kind of gave it some more life the other night. That they should do something called GI Joe '88, sort of like X-Men '97, and just
yeah.
continue the series as close as you can get to the original animation, sans the mistakes or coloring issues. Because a lot of the voice actors are still alive, and or you could get some of the get people that can kind of duplicate the voices or whatnot. Um, but I mean, think of the I think of like the X-Men '97 toy line that came out through Marvel Legends. That was the most successful Marvel Legends we've had in years,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and still can't get enough of them in to fill all the. I could get if I could get like another wave of them in, another case in, it would be going like that. Because you
Yeah.
think like, well, everybody's got them now, and it'd still go. And just imagine what could do with GI Joe and doing
Well, even
that.
if they did a continuation of like Renegades or something.
Well, I think Renegades was always supposed to meant it was meant to be like almost like a prequel sort of
No,
thing.
it was a complete reboot.
Well, reboot slash prequel, because it's like the origins of the team getting together, the origins of Cobra.
Yeah.
Um, but I like to see them just. I just call it GI Joe '88. Just like do season 3 or do season 2.5, and I'd maybe just call it season 3 just to save the confusion. Maybe do it after the movie, before the movie, whatever you want to do.
So you were
And they're
telling me a little bit before the stream that there were plans to do like a further season or more episodes involving the coil.
Yeah, the coil, which ended up being used in the Josh Blaylock Devil's Due GI Joe series, was like ended up being like a. They took it and made the coil a sub faction of Cobra.
Yeah, it was like
It
a
was
cult.
like, yeah, it was like loyal to Serpentor. Yeah, like Doctor Mindbender, Firefly were kind of like his lieutenants, and they had their own troopers and stuff, and they looked really really cool. I believe in the cartoon, the plan was that post movie, Tomax and Zaymot were gonna create the coil or just establish the coil as like the new Cobra,
Yeah.
because Cobra was shattered after the '87 movie with Serpentor being gone and Cobra Commander quote unquote disappearing. becoming a snake or whatever, and Cobra Law, kind of exposed and all that. That Tomax and Zaymot were going to create the coil out of what was left of Cobra, and they would bring in new agents like Raptor, Big Boa, Croc Master, not Killer Croc, thank you, Croc Master. I get those names mixed up. So confusing when the figure came in. I was telling people, yeah, your Killer Croc is coming in and Rakondo, and they're like, "The hell are you talking about, Killer Croc?" I'm like, Killer Croc, Big Boa, yeah, Big Boa. That's what I said, Big Boa, or not big. Sorry, Croc Master. I did it again. Oh, Croc Master. They're going to bring in those guys, and like the coil was also going to search for Cobra Commander, eventually get him, and you'd almost have like the remnants of Cobra, the coil. The Joes would have like multiple threat matrices to deal with, and I would love to see them do that or something. I'm probably not. I'm paraphrasing all this because I don't know the whole thing of it verbatim, but because all those writers are still around, and I guarantee if they got the call, they'd answer. And I mean, why not?
Like,
And
while I think that a continuation would be really cool, I also am a real strong proponent of reinventing GI Joe for a new generation. I think that the way that it's always worked out, we had the 12-inch lines that had a generation of people, a generation of kids involved, and then we went to the Super Joe line that kind of failed, but then after that, we had ARAH, which had an entire generation of kids involved. And I think they tried to do it again later on with G.I. Joe versus Cobra, Valor versus Venom, and they had good, solid stories. Same thing with Spy Troops, but they were reinventing it for a new generation of kids, and I really think that needs to happen again, man. I think my personal opinion of that is that Energon's close, man. It's so close to that.
I'd be happy with that too. And we talked about this last night. To just let Robert Kirkman Skybound produce it.
Yeah,
give them the reins because they do a great job with Invincible.
Make Energon an animated series. Put it on HBO. Put it on Prime.
You got to put it. I feel like you got to put it on something that's going to be accessible because that's been the problem with Spy Troops, Valor versus Venom, Renegades, all that stuff. Resolute.
You say that, but look where Invincible is available.
What's that?
You say that, but look where Invincible is available. Invincible is madly successful.
Yeah, but that's not a kid's property. That's an adult property. Adults are going to pay for that. You got to have something where kids. The thing I thought Renegades was cool.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. If it's reinvented for a new generation, if it's reinvented for kids to get kids involved, then yeah.
I think you have a platform you could do that on where kids could access it, and that's YouTube.
Yeah, I can see that. It could be on the Hasbro channel.
Yeah, I mean that would be perfect, and then they could do their own advertising. You don't have to go through the FCC. You don't have to deal with
completely self-contained.
Yeah, and that way, you could even do like kids well, it'd be silly to do two versions of it, but I think that would be your route to go because everybody has access to YouTube. The one big problem with Renegades was as cool as it was on channel like 462.
Yeah.
And like, oh, okay. What's channel 462?
Whatever it was.
Yeah, but nobody had that. Not everybody had it. And it's like, or you had to fight with your cable provider to get it. And it's like, you got to have it where it's easily accessible, where a kid can watch it on the phone, they can watch it on TV, watch it on PlayStation, Xbox, all that stuff. And that would be YouTube. And again, and plus, you have to create an account to watch it. You have all your demographics. You can measure all your demographics.
Right.
Okay, so we have 90% of this is 50-year-olds watching it. Okay. Or, 35% is 50-year-olds, 55% is kids. The other percentages we don't know. But so that way they know what's working, what's not working. But make it in a way where, I think Energon could be something. You'd probably have to cut down on the violence if kids are going to watch it.
Yeah, you're 100% right, man. I think that doing it as an original series on YouTube on their YouTube channel that's already established, already has viewers, and already has a G.I. Joe property being broadcast, I think it'd be perfect.
And if you want to, and here's something too, if you want to get real fancy with it, get the Ninja Kids to promote it. Get Ryan's World to promote it. Get all the established kind of kid-based YouTube channels
Yeah.
to kind of get involved and promote it. I know, like the Ninja Kids, because we've watched thousands of hours of the Ninja Kids. Like, get them, like they were promoting Mattel products, you know, so get them to promote your Hasbro stuff.
Yeah, it's totally doable, man. I don't know if it's just not being pitched right or not being. It can't be the fact that it's not being thought of.
Well, I know that a few years ago they had a few things that they kept trying to test market, and it wasn't doing so well, according to my source.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes you sound like some goofball insider. A person I know that deals with Hasbro. We had these conversations all the time because he's got to hear here's what I would do sort of thing all about every third conversation. He said that they've actually have had cartoons that they've kind of made and they've done them for test audiences and they score poorly.
Well, dude, supposedly they made one that was based on like Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow early on, and they screened a trailer for it to an audience and didn't get good feedback, so they axed it.
Well, like the thing that they keep getting on the feedback equals a Real American Hero cartoon.
Really?
That's one of the reasons I say do a continuation. And then I think of the perspective of the kid, my son. We've watched pretty much all of season 1 multiple times. And obviously you go to watch it again, if you're a kid, you're gonna get bored because you've seen it 10 times.
Yeah.
But if they made something new, because he always asks me, when are they gonna do a new one? When's the new episode gonna be on? Because he hasn't seen all of season 2. So like I'll dig up a season 2 episode and it's like he's glued to the TV. We were on vacation at the end of December and I showed him the episode, I think it's called Once Upon a Joe, where Shipwreck tells the orphans the fairy tale story and the animation's real funny. And he loves that episode. And so I think like if they just kind of kept that, oh, that's cool. I think if they kept that spirit of a Real American Hero, the cartoon,
yeah,
and just kind of updated it, because like I'm watching it as an adult, I'm getting things out of it I didn't get as a kid. My son's watching it, and yeah, you're gonna have the really goofy MacGuffin device of the episode, but like one of the voice actors said, the plots were pretty outrageous sometimes, but the actors kind of sold it like this is the most. Cobra's got giant vegetables, but we have to sell it as this is the most dangerous thing in the world. And you're not really watching it for the plot, you're watching it for the characters. Because, like, I mean, who doesn't want Cobra Commander to be like their crazy uncle who comes over on Thanksgiving, you know, over in the corner hissing about a turkey leg. And then, you know, you're just, you know, like, oh, cool, Alpine and Bazooka and Quick Kicker in this episode. And, you know, just stuff like that. Now, I think like the Spy Troops and the Valor versus Venom, they tried to do a restart, but it was like a continuation restart. And it's like, you've been dormant for so long. I think like it had, so just imagine this, Terry. Imagine this. Imagine if they had on their streaming channel where they got the Real American Hero cartoon up right now on that live stream. If they put out some announcement, hey, we just uploaded some more Real American Hero episodes. Oh, cool. And you go to watch them and just randomly in the stream, it pops up a brand new episode. And you're like, whoa, what the hell is this?
Dude, that would be cool. That would be awesome.
And then just the buzz that would, now you have to watch that stream. And Hasbro's like, what are you talking about? You know, we don't know anything about that. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we do. We got a new G.I. Joe cartoon. You know, we kind of integrated it in to see if you guys were paying attention. That would be really cool, in my opinion. And then you kind of announce it and make it official and all that. But I look at the X-Men 97 model and that went pretty good. It sold toys, it sold units. People loved the cartoon. It was nostalgic. It hit all the beats you needed it to hit, and people want more.
Dude, I think it sold a ton of units in the toys.
Oh, we revitalized Marvel Legends there for a while.
Yeah.
If there was any question about if they were going to, you know, if they were kind of iffy on keeping the license, it kind of tipped it like, hey, maybe we should keep the license if they're going to do stuff like this. Less Eternals and more X-Men 97. You
Yeah.
know, because you're not going to find X-Men 97 at Ollie's.
No, no, you're certainly not.
If you do, let me know because I'll go get some for myself. But yeah,
Do
they
you not have them? Did you order any?
no, I couldn't keep them in stock.
Did you order any of the Sentinels?
I don't think I did because that was a Pulse exclusive, right?
Yeah, it was a Pulse exclusive, made to order type thing.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. I was telling David the other night, I really regret not getting Unicron, HasLab Unicron. Sorry, my mind's jumping ahead. Thinking about the Hasbro stuff there. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be cool if we got an announcement for some type of media property for Tuesday.
Yeah.
But or a made to order, flag or whatever.
Something.
Yeah, but I think I would.
Cool that we haven't already seen is mainly.
And I think it'd be kind of cool. Now, yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool if they did like a HasLab or made to order on the flag, but it'd have to be different enough from the original flag that it'd be worth getting.
Yeah.
Because if you just count like
Totally
inflation from 40 years ago to now, $500-$600 would probably be about the right price.
I think 500 will be a good price.
I think so too. I
But
mean, you can make it 100. I'd be fine with that. But
I'll wait for Ollie's.
yeah, I'm gonna get my USS flag at Ollie's in my his tank. I noticed you haven't got them yet. No, I haven't. I'm still waiting.
All right, man. Well, I gotta go be dad now. So
Same here.
Thanks for jumping in and watching, guys. It's been great talking with you, Dan, and we'll do this again. I'd like to get back into doing this every Sunday at 2 p.m. And we have the Circle of Jerks live stream that we do on Tuesdays now. So be sure and tune in for those. We broadcast those across all of the channels of the people involved. And I'd like to start doing that with this, broadcasting it on both of our channels, so we can increase viewership and increase our audience base. So be sure to
the Dancast will be coming soon as soon as I work out all the technical difficulties.
Yes. Yep. Dancast on the Action
version. Yep. Yeah, and if they end up doing a flag, HasLab will have a GoFundMe for it. So
awesome. All right, we'll see you all later.
See you. Have a great weekend.